got Lego 6054, the Forestmen's Hideout from 1988, which is part of the really excellent Forestmen line of the Castle series. And unfortunately, this one is not straight out of the box. I did buy this one used. I generally get used Legos from Bricklink, which I can talk a little bit about what that experience is like. But here we've got the instructions, and here's what the finished set will look like. It's this great outpost that's kind of built into a tree. The Forestmen line all has that kind of tree theme to the sets, the environmental sets, and I just think it's so great, and I just wanted to get to one that was had a little bit more of a presence when it's all put together, not another cart or something like that, because I do have more castle sets that are sealed, but hopefully you'll forgive me for building a few of these castle ones just because I like them so much and they're not straight out of the box. When you buy from Bricklink, it's a lot safer, I find, than getting stuff from eBay. You'll generally get stuff that looks like this. The really good sellers separate everything by kind of size or color, and you'll see that, like, even though this is a used set, there's some scuffing on the pieces and general, wear and the life of a Lego set, but I've always had good luck in that they're very clean, thoroughly checked to be complete as well. This set comes with 2 minifigures. They're both Forestmen. They have definitely a kind of Robin Hood influence. This guy's in all green. This kind of reminds me when I was young, I used one of these figures as my stand-in for Link from The Legend of Zelda. The other guy here has kind of a medieval bib thing on, the brown hat and a yellow plume. Most of the Forestmen came with a lot of bows and arrows and stuff, so he's carrying on with the Robin Hood motif. So if you ever find yourself going down the dark and terrible road that is collecting vintage Legos, you will want to be sure to kind of go in with kind of setting expectations for what you feel is acceptable when you're collecting. For example, this set I bought, and it doesn't have the box, the original box. So if you're willing to live without those, which I definitely am because they take up just obscene amount of room, and keeping a box in good condition is not the easiest thing. That right away knocks a good deal of price out. Another thing, of course, it seems like a no-brainer, but you'll want to check the listing to make sure that the seller is saying it's 100% complete. Some people, I imagine, this isn't such a big deal for because they don't mind hunting down the pieces that are missing, but with the vintage Legos, you'll find that there's often printed pieces, things like that replacing those does alter the output quite a bit, because it won't look like what's on the outside, the box, or what it was, quote unquote supposed to look like. And a lot of times when they say it's 95% complete, something like that means that you probably won't be getting the minifigures, or the minifigures will be missing pieces, like the plumes on the Forestman's hat, for example, wouldn't have been there, or some of or some of the weapons they were supposed to come with wouldn't have been there, things like that. The thing that is kind of a must-have for me, especially as I'm going back and revisiting a lot of these old castle sets, is the instructions. I really want the instructions to be there. If you don't have the box and you've got a really nice piece of artwork to look at, that's what the finished set looks like, that they've, that was shot by Lego, or I should say photographed by Lego. One thing you will find getting vintage pieces is that things like that have hinges and that relied on friction and things to keep it tight, as over the years have gotten quite a bit looser. So that is, One thing to keep in mind is, like, these are old pieces and they will not be perfect. I am remembering how nice it is to have on the modern sets, they tell you what piece you need for each step, and so you can kind of have a better gauge of making sure you got everything in that one step. So I've already had to back up once or twice, because the way the old vintage ones work, it's just kind of a spot the difference game of what's been added between each step. So I wouldn't say it's harder, it's just it requires a little more presence of mind. You will find when putting these old sets together too that you get a lot of creaking and some pieces that don't join extremely tight, and it can be a little disheartening sometimes. And it is a lot of these sets use such rudimentary pieces that if it's really a problem with a few pieces, then you can just probably replace it quite easily, either through Lego's Pick-a-Brick or just buying more pieces listed as new or in excellent condition on Bricklink. The nice thing about the castle line is, like, there's not a lot of white pieces. Like if you were collecting Lego Space, a lot of them have white pieces, and white pieces that just will often turn very yellow over time. There's steps you can take to kind of mitigate that. There's the putting them in hydrogen peroxide and leaving them in sunlight for a day or so, and you can reclaim some of the white color, but I've never found it to be like they come out looking brand new. But you can even see here on these pieces that even the grays have started to turn yellow somewhat, and the lighter colors pick up dirt quite a bit. These are very common pieces, and if I wanted to take the time, it'd be very easy to replace them. And there's another odd thing about Legos is I don't remember biting them much as when I was a kid, but I guess if they really got stuck, it would make sense to use your teeth as a lever. But you will find bite marks on pieces. Some of these older sets too, when you're in the early stage of construction and with these pieces that don't necessarily have the grip that they used to, it can all come crashing down rather quickly when you put pressure in the wrong spot. See, here's kind of a crummy thing. Remember I had talked about how they changed the swords later to be the weaker plastic. So this guy, the seller, has replaced one of the original swords with one of the newer ones, which is very much a nitpick, but you do pay a premium for these old sets. I would very much like to get my hands on an actual castle in these lines to do on this channel. Like Black Falcon's, the Black Falcon's castle is a really excellent one. It's just very simple, and it did get reissued at one point, which you'd think would make it the cheaper way to go, but it is not. It's all the castles, anything that has the real presence to it and the kind of showpiece sets, you're gonna pay through the nose for those things. But I would like to get one, and one of the older ones, definitely, not the newer ones. Like Black Monarch's castle would be another great one. I had that one growing up, and it was one of those sets that I never took apart just because it looked so good, and it was just so much fun. The working drawbridges and things of that nature. eBay is always an option with old Legos, and you do get the advantage of there being a lot more photographs generally than on Bricklink, but you know, you don't, it's just kind of harder to know what you're getting into with an eBay purchase unless it's something in the box and they have a bunch of photographs of it, or it's somebody that is very thorough, and you know, but I do advise, you know, really read about what it is, and if the price is too good to be true, there's probably a good reason for that. I'm starting to be very glad that I had the foresight to break out a wider angle lens on this thing, because it's starting to get rather tall, and the lens I usually use is more of a close-up, and I wouldn't be able to fit any of this in there. Now we're getting into the foliage. This should be pretty cool. I love these old Lego frond pieces. They're just so simple and so great. I really feel like it takes a certain type of person to get into selling Legos. I doubt I would have the patience to go through a set of bricks and try to match everything to these sets. It's just like, especially the castles, when you're dealing with like 500 or 600 pieces. We got some vines too. They're very cool. So that's the bulk of the main construction, and you can see it folds shut to make a tree. There's a few that outstanding pieces left, like Forestmen crest shields go in the front of the, which doesn't really make it much of a hideout anymore, I suppose, since you're telling everybody exactly where you are. Spears that go on the clips here. Another barrel full of gold, because I guess that's where you keep gold in Lego castles and barrels. And a red flag is another giveaway of where your hideout is. And it also comes with a nice little archery range for the Forestmen to practice on. Splitting arrows and all that. And here it is all put together. I ended up with a few extra pieces, which, found one of them already. Some of it is, I wonder if it's easier to just give people a couple extra pieces than to worry about angry nerds getting back at you about their set being incomplete. But yeah, this is just a really cool little set. It's a great tree with a hollow in the back. And of course the whole set opens. There's not too much to do inside, but you can put somebody up in the lookout position up here, and they can watch out the arched windows here, which are a great little touch. There's a sword in there in case, just, you know, general use sword inside as well. But yeah, this is one of the reasons that I love the castle line so much. It's just because the environmental pieces like this, it just looks great. It's a freaking outpost tree. It's not a lot to love about that. So there's Lego 6054, Forestmen's Hideout. I think these Forestmen sets are just brilliant. All of them have this kind of tree, repurposed tree theme. Thanks for watching along as I put this thing together. I've got more castle sets to come, both in and out of the package, in various large and small sizes. Keep my fingers crossed that I do build up the nerve to actually get one of the larger castles, so that would be a good way to end this series, I think. Once again, thank you as always for watching.